Guys, I just want to let you know that in today's age especially, it's really important to be well informed of the subjects and matters that affect us on a day-to-day basis. As of recently, I've been interested in the foods that I consume and whether or not they are safe. At the front line of this conversation is GMOs. After doing some research of my own, I've come to the conclusion that yes, for the most part, GMOs are safe, and I just hope to ease some minds out there who are in a similar boat as I was. So starting off with a New York Times article with a full-time specialist in medicine and biology, Jane D. Brody. She is in full support of GMOs and describes them as genetically modified organisms like any other organism have many proteins, and what separates them is that GMOs will have one or two proteins hand selected by humans. She makes it a point to state that any modifications made to these organisms are not done with any ill intent, and that the only reason for them is to either help the organism itself or the farmer. For example, the addition of anti-agent gene will help the vegetable or fruit stay fresher for longer periods of time, or the pest resilient gene, which allows for the farmer to use less pesticides on their crops, which at the end of the day makes them safer to consume. Over the last few decades, there's been a couple of major studies that have either dismissed or confirmed the concerns of GMO outcomes, which makes it confusing for a concerned consumer like myself, because it could be really easy to have confirmation bias in the process of researching a reason. Like, if you go looking for trouble, you're gonna get trouble type of thing. In an article, which was kind of a interview style article titled "The Anti-GMO Tipping Point," a respectable community activist by the name of Jeffrey Smith talks about the dangers of GMOs through a study where a group of mice were fed GMOs, and after a few generations were infertile. And as concerning as this is, it's important to realize the possibility of translating this study into humans. First of all, that would mean we would need to have a very specific control group who would have to avoid any GMO products for a few generations to obtain the same results. Despite these two groups being so different, Adam Chack, who runs an organic farm at the University of Davis, and Ronner, who is a prominent genetics researcher on the same campus, see no fundamental conflict between the two options of feeding the world. They believe actually that GMOs and organic farmings are natural allies, and that together they could feed the overgrowing and ever-growing population. In another article by the University of California in Los Angeles also echoes this thoughts and says that GMOs save life, and this is evident in a study done where a large population in India had a major vitamin A deficiency, And after genetically modifying their rice to include the vitamin A protein, the rate of blindness, which is caused by vitamin A deficiency, went down. Farmers nowadays are also in agreement of using GMO products. One farmer who has been farming all his life, by the name of Mr. Gunter, talks about how GMOs has allowed him to have a more reliable harvest, and that by using GMO tech methods, he is able to have better quality produce. It is cheaper to maintain, and overall is more reliable than other farming methods. What makes GMOs such a hot topic, I believe, is in the way we speak of it. GMOs is farming. It's almost, if not exactly, how farming has always been. A farmer would take a favorable trait from one plant and crossbreed it with another favorable trait, and in the end result in a better crop. This is not only done by farmers, it's done in nature. It's called natural selection. Let's take a look at how corn used to look like. So let's see. You can take a look here. This little guy is how corn used to look like. And after many years of crossbreeding, this is what we have today. And this wouldn't have been possible without the use of technically genetically modifying crops. I believe GMOs get a bad rep because of the way we speak about them. Saying genetically modified anything sounds scary, and it almost reminds me of commonly used scare tactics. When you say you're gonna go get a drink of water, you say, I'm going to get a drink of water. You don't say, I'm going to get a glass of neutral chemical, because if you'd say that, it'd raise some alarms. So you don't say, I'm going to get a glass of chemical. You say, I'm going to get a glass of water. But technically water is a chemical, so you could say it that way. But by saying it one way, you paint a completely different picture than if you say it another way. I believe that GMOs are, if not a natural way of producing crops, a safe way. I do not believe that they harm us or will harm us, because a protein, when processed, is a protein. So I hope this has eased your mind and you feel more comfortable consuming GMO, because they are safe.